G'day guys, welcome to this episode of Aussie English. In this episode, I'm going to introduce you to Australian slang words. So a lot of Australian slang words have specific endings. You'll hear the same ending quite often associated with slang terms, and two cases are IE, which sounds like E, and O, which obviously sounds like O. So some examples of words that have become slang and have had the IE added to a reduced form of the original word or sentence includes the following: baddie, bad person; boardies, board shorts; cabbie, cab driver or taxi driver; Chrissy, Christmas; comfy, comfortable; cozzy, bathers or swimmers, so what you wear when you go for a swim; druggie, someone addicted to drugs or who does drugs; the dunny or loo, that is the toilet; fasty, that's an act of deception; footy, Australian rules football; a freebie, something that's free; a goody-goody is a person who is overly good, often someone in class who's what we call a goody-goody two-shoes, so they do everything the teacher wants them to do. Anyway, so there are a few of the IE slang terms, and you would have noticed with boardies, board shorts, when it's plural, we just add an S to the end of the word, so boardie becomes boardies. With regards to O, and words that end in O, it's the same case for plural. We just add an S to the end. And a few words that end in O that are slang words in Australian are aggro, aggressive; arvo, afternoon; demo, demonstration; Freo, Fremantle, which is a town in Western Australia, and it's also a football team; gastro, gastroenteritis, which is when you have food poisoning or some bacterial infection in your stomach and you have a very unpleasant time on the toilet for a few days; hyper or hypo, which means hyperactive, although hypo, a lot of Australians say incorrectly, means hypoactive, which means slow, where hyperactive means hyper, overactive, quick. Info, information; intro, introduction; outro, the opposite of intro, so what you would hear at the end of something. However, outroduction is not a word. We never say that. So don't ever say outroduction. Physio, physiotherapy, or a physiotherapist, someone who helps someone who's had a muscular injury. Rego, vehicle registration, so it's what you pay in order to have your car registered to drive on the road. And we also say thingo, which isn't a shortening, but actually a lengthening of the word thing. So if we don't know what something is, we may say, oh, it was that thingo. And that was an introduction to Australian slang words ending in IE and O, so E and O. And remember, they're plurals, E's and O's. In the future, I'm going to do individual lessons on these specific slang terms, slang words, and how to use them in sentences and in the proper context. This lesson was just to familiarize you with the endings and give you some examples. And hopefully when I go over them more specifically, more in depth, you will remember some of the words that I've said today. Until next time, guys, have a good one.